Like Stephanie White has given us an update on the Indiana Fever carousel of injured players. Guys, for this one here,
Caitlin Clark is finally on her way back. Coach Stephanie White confirmed it herself after Sophie Cunningham's injury and Lexie Hull battling through two black eyes like a warrior. White slipped up and said it, Clark's return is official. Fever fans, this changes everything. The whole league better get ready for the noise. Do you think Caitlin Clark's comeback makes the Fever a real playoff threat? This season, the Fever have been holding on with duct tape and hope. Every time they start finding a rhythm, another injury hits. Sophie Cunningham goes down. Lexie Hull takes a shot to the head, ends up with two black eyes, but refuses to sit out because she's tougher than half the league. Then Ari McDonald goes out, and suddenly the rotation looks like a patchwork lineup. That's why all eyes are now on Caitlin Clark. Fans have been waiting, analyzing every sideline photo and outfit, searching for any clue. Now the wait is over. Stephanie White finally gave fans what they've been waiting for, confirmation that Caitlin Clark's return isn't someday, it's happening soon. White said Clark has been practicing, shooting, and working her way back. With teammates going down to injuries, the timing of her comeback just became even more urgent.
Last time we talked here, you was here, we talked about the positioning, and you said the toughest position is point guard. Now you've had 2 point guards to go down, and you brought in Odyssey at a good time. Can you talk about her coming to joining the team and how you see her now helping you in this time in the season?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I think her ability to get downhill, her ability to get to the rim and play make for herself and others, it's what we needed. We needed somebody who could come in and who could take some pressure off of Kelsey in a way that Ari did, and being another person who can get downhill. And then Shea as well. Shea, in particular, when we lost Sophie, we needed somebody else who could get us organized.
Here's why this matters so much. Without Caitlin Clark, the Fever aren't terrible, but they're not scaring anybody either. Kelsey Mitchell has been carrying the scoring, and Aaliyah Boston has her dominant nights, but the offense falls flat without Clark out there stretching defenses and making passes no one else can. The Fever without Clark are average. The Fever with Clark, a completely different team.
Get us into offense, get us into the right positions. So it's always hard when you lose point guards, and for us, now this is the think about Caitlin and her not being back yet, and Ari and Sid, having Odyssey and Shea coming in at this time of year is tough, and I think that they've both answered the call.
Stephanie White admitted the team's margin for error is basically zero. In coach speak, that means, we need our star back right now if we want to compete. And she's right. It's no longer about just surviving games, it's about making a real playoff push. Without Clark, maybe the Fever squeeze out a win or two against weaker teams. With Clark, they suddenly have a shot to beat anybody on the right night. And then there's Lexie Hull. Her latest interview was the definition of toughness.
Lexie, obviously, she had that big knot in her head on Tuesday and it's developed into those two black eyes. Just what was your reaction to seeing that develop?
I mean, just smiling, really, and every time I see her, I'm like, oh, poor Lexie. But I think it really epitomizes Lexie's toughness when you look at her and you see those two black eyes. I mean, she is tough as nails. She plays all out every possession all the time. And sometimes the result is two black eyes. And so I smile every time I see her. But it definitely is a picture-perfect viewpoint of the toughness that she brings.
Lexie Hull even admitted she was worried about her looks since she had a photo shoot the next day. But when the swelling turned into two black eyes, she just laughed it off and kept playing.
Because it's not doing great. I wish this was a filter. But this is insane. This is what I look like.
Makeup covered some of it, but Lexie Hull joked that the cameras would have to fix the rest in post-production. That's classic Lexie, no complaints, just grit. Stephanie White even said that every time she sees Lexie's bruised face, she smiles, because it perfectly represents what Hull brings: effort, toughness, and heart.
Oh, and there's Lexie Hull. You can see both of her eyes.
But even with Hull pushing through, the Fever were running out of bodies. Sophie Cunningham is out. Chloe Bibby has been in and out with leg issues. Odyssey Sims has stepped in at point guard, but she's not a long-term solution. That's why White's update on Clark was so important. She didn't just say Clark was progressing, she confirmed Clark has been back in shoot-arounds, working with the team, and her return is officially on the calendar. And here's the thing, this isn't just good news for the Fever. It's good news for the league. Like her or not, Caitlin Clark moves the needle. Ratings spike when she plays. Arenas sell out when she's on the schedule. Even opposing teams cash in just because Clark is coming to town. Her return isn't just a Fever boost, it's an economic boost for the entire WNBA. And the timing? Honestly, it couldn't be more perfect. The Fever are banged up everywhere, and now the face of the league is walking back in. Talk about storylines. The WNBA has been practically begging for her return, and now the moment is here. It just took Sophie Cunningham's injury and Lexie Hull turning into Rocky Balboa to finally push it over the edge.
Physicality of the game. We also talked about that last time we were here, and it seems like it's still an ongoing discussion going on around the league. How are you now handling it as far as managing with the team, getting them prepared with some of the officiating or some of the play? What are you telling them as the message moving forward?
I think the message for us is control we can control. We can't control how the game is called. We can control how we play it. And so being disciplined, defending without fouling, making opponents hit tough shots, and understanding that, these are the best players in the world. Sometimes we have to live with them hitting tough shots. And so just being a little bit more disciplined in terms of how we're playing, on the defensive end in particular, and then continuing to be aggressive on the offensive end. We can't shy away from contact. We have to go into and invite contact.
But Stephanie White deserves credit, too. She's been juggling this roster like a circus act, bringing in Odyssey Sims, working Shaw Petty into the rotation, and leaning on Kelsey Mitchell to do everything short of driving the team bus. White even admitted they had to simplify the playbook because of all the lineup changes. Translation: half the roster is new, so she can't run anything too complicated, and despite everything, the Fever are still in the playoff hunt. So when Stephanie White says Caitlin Clark is coming back, it's not just coach speak, it's reality. White knows she needs Clark to stabilize the roster. She knows the league needs Clark back on the floor. And she knows the Fever's only real chance of making noise in the postseason depends on Clark being Clark again. And here's the poetic part. Clark's return comes after weeks of critics calling her overhyped while she was sidelined. They've been saying the Fever are better without her. News flash: no, they aren't. Without Clark, they're just a scrappy team trying to stay afloat. With Caitlin Clark, the Fever are must-watch basketball. That's the difference between a team with a star and a team without one. The Fever without her have been like a car running on 3 wheels. They can move forward, but every bump feels like a disaster. Sophie Cunningham's injury took away one of their scrappiest defenders and vocal leaders. Lexie Hull, with her 2 black eyes and swelling, has been proof of how cursed the Fever's injury luck has been. Add in Ari McDonald and other depth players being sidelined, and suddenly the rotation is paper thin. Stephanie White said it herself, the margin for error is 0. Enter Caitlin Clark. This isn't just a boost, it's the entire identity of the team returning. When Clark is on the floor, defenses are warped. Opponents have to pick their poison, guard her 30-foot range and watch Alia Boston dominate inside, or collapse on Boston and get lit up by Clark from deep. Without her, teams pack the paint, dare the Fever to shoot, and live with the results. With her, everything opens up. White even said Clark's return will let them get back to running their system instead of playing duct tape basketball. Translation: she's been holding it together, but needs her star quarterback back. And the timing couldn't be better. The Fever are entering the playoff stretch where every game matters, and one win or loss could decide if they sneak in or go home early. Clark knows this. White knows this. Even the haters know this. That's why her return got so much attention, and about those haters, they've been loud. The narrative has been the Fever are more balanced without Clark, or she needs to prove herself against physical play. Funny how the ratings tank when she's not on the court. Funny how road arenas only sell out when she's on the schedule. Funny how ESPN barely pushes clips of Fever games without her. The reality is simple. The WNBA is more entertaining with Caitlin Clark, and the Fever are more dangerous with her, period. Sophie Cunningham's absence only made the urgency greater. She brought toughness, that edge every team needs. Without her, the Fever lost their spark plug. White even admitted that losing Sophie left a leadership gap. Add in Lexie Hull, literally playing with her face rearranged, and it becomes clear, this team needs Clark's leadership just as much as her play. She may only be in year 2, but she's already the emotional center of the franchise.